There's a bit of a buzz going around because Ripple-backed Evernorth is set to raise over $1 billion in a U.S. listing to hoard the XRP token. And this article here from the 20th of yesterday, it said that a new crypto venture backed by digital asset firm Ripple said on Monday it will list on the NASDAQ through a merger with a blank check firm Armada Acquisition Core 2 is expected to raise more than $1 billion in proceeds. That new crypto venture is, of course, Evernorth. The digital asset treasury will focus on accumulating XRP, a token linked to Ripple and the fifth largest cryptocurrency by market cap, according to data from CoinGecko. Let's talk about that.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.
And I hope the mic does sound right. Let's dig into this a little bit. The deal, expected to close in the first quarter of 2026, will create the largest XRP publicly traded XRP treasury company, Evernorth said. Now, Evernorth is the company that we're going to be referring to. And of course, we have reference to another company, and that company was Armada Acquisition Core 2, which is expected to raise the $1 billion. But here's the thing to remember: whenever companies do this, we get some timelines and some clues that we might want to take into consideration. It says here that the deal is expected to close in the first quarter of 2026. The first quarter of 2026, presumably, is from January to March. And so, generally speaking, whenever the big boys are accumulating, the price is compressed. They don't tend to buy high, they tend to buy low. So, we'll see what impact that will have on the price of XRP, and we'll keep our expectations balanced. Because you see, scores of companies continue to wrap crypto assets into equity. Concerns are mounting over the spillover impact of a correction in the equities markets. And so, that being said, as we mentioned in yesterday's video, many companies are putting XRP in their treasuries as a part of their assets, as a part of their balance sheet, and that includes Ripple. I'll put the cards up, look for them up in the right hand corner there. It says, I lost track how many asset holding companies are there around Ethereum. Evernorth CEO Ashish Burla, a former Ripple executive, told Reuters in an interview. Burla added that he will be stepping down from Ripple's board as he joins Evernorth. And if we go to Ashish's X page,
And if you like the content I'm providing, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications, and then come back for more DK Will Talk About It.
and if we go to Ashish's X page, we see he's already made that transition. He is now listed as the CEO at Evernorth. Now, we know Ashish Burla has a long history in moving forward with Ripple until being placed on that board. And we can see from this that Ripple as a company is making significant moves. There's something else that we want to talk about before we dig too deep into this, because it says in the beginning paragraph, a blank check firm, Armada Acquisition Corporation, too. And I'm going to talk about that and the potential for a good investment as well by the time this video is over. I hope you stick around for that. But first, let's take a look at blank check. A blank check company is a shell corporation formed to raise capital through an initial public offering with the sole purpose of acquiring or merging with a private company. And so, taking that back to the news, we see here that Japanese firm SBI, remember SBI, which was previously affiliated with SoftBank, is providing 200 million of the raise in exchange for equity. That's a 20% interest in $1 billion, is it not? It says, we will look at acquisition opportunities, Burla said, adding that Evernorth will be hiring and building out an investment team as well. Opportunity for investment advisors. The deal also saw participation from Ripple co-founder Chris Larson and the digital assets firm Pantera Capital, if you remember my video regarding the startup company's financing, which have track records of funding such strategies. So let's take a look at that strategy. Armada acquisition to take Evernorth public in $1 billion XRP treasury deal. This article is roughly a day old. It says Armada Acquisition, a blank check company, we know what that is now, will take Evernorth Holdings public under a business combination agreement expected to raise over $1 billion in gross proceeds. The combined company will operate under the Evernorth name and will trade on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol XRPN, subject to the listing approval. Net proceeds will be used to fund open market purchases of the cryptocurrency XRP to build an institutional XRP treasury with a portion allocated to working capital, general corporate purposes, and transaction expenses, Evernorth said. Evernorth said the publicly listed treasury vehicle will give investors liquid exposure to XRP while actively growing XRP through institutional lending, liquidity provisioning, and decentralized finance yield strategy. The transaction has been approved by the boards of both Armada Acquisition Corp and Evernorth Holdings. It is expected to close again in Q1 2026. And so they are being established to act as a treasury company to manage the assets of the company Ripple. Notice it says Rippleback Evernorth. And so they are going to manage the assets of Ripple. And they're going to do a bunch of the purchasing, a bunch of the investing in the cryptocurrency XRP. Now, as I said, we'll see what that does to the price. But eventually, they're going to benefit from the expansion in price of XRP just like we hope to. And that's where we're going with this when I talking about an investment. So let's turn our attention to that investment opportunity. This article, Evernorth Holdings to merge with Special Purpose Acquisition Company in $1 billion deal. We've talked about that. Evernorth Holdings, XRPN ticker symbol, is a newly formed Nevada corporation that will enable XRP adoption on an institutional scale. In a business combination agreement with Armada Acquisition Corp, ticker symbol AACI, a publicly traded special purpose acquisition company. AACI is already trading. XRPN is not. It is waiting until it is approved and listed. But upon closing of the transaction, the combined company will operate under the Evernorth name and is expected to trade on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol XRPN, subject to satisfaction of the listing requirements. Now, let's look at the company who's investing in this. We know that SBI is investing 200 million. Additional investments from the company Ripple. Ripple Works and leading asset and fintech leaders and investors, including Pantera Capital, go to my video about the startup company, Kraken, GSR, video about the startup funding, with participation from Ripple co-founder Chris Larson. I think it was $100 and some million he put forward for this business transaction. So that's the company you'll keep if you can invest. Now, unless you're a private investor, an accredited investor, you can't do the initial investment in private companies. You have to wait for them to go publicly traded. However, here's the opportunity I want to bring to your attention. We want to go down to here. It says, in addition to its vision to build one of the largest institutional XRP treasuries in the world. Now, think of that. Would you like to have the largest XRP treasury in the world? Evernorth plans to deploy resources toward advancing the XRP ecosystem more broadly. In connection with the closing of the transaction, each Class A share of Armada 2 that has not been redeemed for cash in accordance with the terms of its organizational documents will convert to Class A shares of Evernorth on a one-for-one basis. And so the opportunity exists to invest in AACI now. And then, without any action on your part, when this deal goes down, you will get a share of Evernorth for every share of Armada that you own. And considering the company that you will keep investing in this, it will probably be a pretty good investment. And guess what? I believe it. And actions speak louder than words. So that's what I wanted to talk about. And this is an opportunity that only if you waited till the end of this video would you know it was there. Because Armada acquisition can be purchased now for about $10 and 25, 26, 29, 30 cents. I think when Evernorth transitions and all your shares of Armada turn into Evernorth shares, it'll probably be worth a bit more than $10. Opportunity knocks, people. And I talked about it because this is DK Will Talk About It. Have a wonderful day.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right.